what if we did something with yellow as a color? And I've got about half an hour to think of something that involves yellow. First thing that comes to mind is flowers. Suppose I could do a butterfly or a bumblebee or something. Problem with the bumblebee is that it involves a lot of black, and I don't want to use black paint, but I also don't want to scrub away half of my black ink just making stripes on a bumblebee. So I think we will go with yellow flowers. Alright, so with these I don't tend to draw them out with the pen and ink. I tend just to do these all with loose watercolors. So I will draw a third in here. So in general, I think about the rules of thirds. Try to have things generally broken up into thirds. It's, you know, every rule is meant to be broken, but it's good to understand how they work with the human eye to get a sense of what is going to be naturally pleasing versus not naturally pleasing for how the eye flows through something. Alright, so first I'm going to do just a general wash of green down here. Create a baseline. Don't want to go too dark because yellow is a fairly light color. And put in some dark stems. The thicknesses, again, the paper is going to curl. That is alright by me. That's just what happens. A little bit of blue to make a blue-green. So this is just a soft background area here, so I don't want any of this to be in sharp focus. Just going to be doing little splotchy things. These are just all the flowers in the background. I don't use that too much. I don't want too much white down here, because again, white draws the eye, and this is just supposed to be some sort of filler area. So I want to make sure that I get most of this fairly filled in with some sort of color, whatever it happens to be. You can see that everything's sort of running together, but that's alright. That's the point of this background area. Just to provide a sense of colors. I have most things leaning to the right because I tend to put the source of light, the sun, to the top right of my images. But every once in a while, flowers go away from the sun because of the way the wind blows or some other kind of thing. So while it's good in general to have flowers aiming towards the light, it's also good to have a stray one heading in another direction, just so that you get some sort of sense of how these flowery scenes tend to look. Things spread out in different directions for all sorts of reasons. I think I'm going to need a little more actual green because I'm running low on the base green. I don't want it to be too sharply distinguished down here because that'll draw away from the main flowers that I'm going to draw in a second. But on the other hand, it's good to have a bit of a range of things happening. Alright. So we get a general sense of the flower and stuff being down there. Right, so now we get up to the main flowers. And I'm going to actually try one of my, well, I'm not really keen on any of these. One of my flatter brushes to make the petals. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to rinse this brush off. Alright, Anne, it's good to see you. Thank you for hanging out. Have a great weekend. Alright, so I'm using a fan brush just to see if it makes a different kind of petally shape for me. Usually I do this with red for poppy fields, so this will be a little interesting to see how this comes out for yellow flowers. Let's make a big one up here. Alright, they're reasonably flower shaped. Yes, there's a brush hair in there. I will dig that out later. When everything dries, you can just flick them out, so it's easier to do that than to try to dig them out and move the wet paint around while it's in this kind of a state. Alright, so I'm going to make little squiggles deeper in. Alright, I'm trying to give them a sense that they're pointing to the top right, because that's where the sun is. So it would mean that the shadow part would be to the lower left. Alright. Now comes a tricky part, for me at least, which is getting the stems to connect well. I want the stem to have more green in it, but I'm running out of green, so we'll add a little more green light. See if we have smallish brush. Alright, so this is a 4. We're going to take mostly green, a hint of blue, I don't want these to be too thick. I want them to be fairly smooth. I like the look of that one better than I like the looks of these guys. I suppose now that I've done that, they have to sort of look alike. Right, get a little blue, a little bit of shadow on the back side of it. Careful where I put my thing down so I don't get it all smeared in a color. And put little palm prints everywhere. Yeah, my palm seems to be okay. I'm going to connect these guys to the flowers. It looks like they actually belong together. Alright. Now I want to put a little bit of dark right into the very middle, but I don't want it to be like a glaring. Let's try a little bit of the yellow, so it's just like a little speckles of the darker yellow. And again, I sort of want it to be on the right hand side, so it makes it look like the flower is leaning towards the right to where the sun is. Alright. I'm reasonably pleased with that. I could do all sorts of extra work in adding little shadows and other things to these, but I think you get the gist of where I'm going with it. And I think that this one is a case where I will add a spattering. Although, you know, I really like spattering things, so maybe I should add a spattering to all of these. I'm going to rinse off my brushes first. Alright, so we're all we've got there. Spattering gets everywhere. I'll leave those out. So it's good to have cardboard or something down before you do this. I'll start with the frog since the frog went first. It's good to have the picture part fairly dry before you spatter things on top of it so that the spattering colors stay nice and crisp and don't merge down into the wet paints that are down there before. Alright, so spattering is done well with a stiff brush so you can flick it and the little colors spray out over everything. And it's a balance that you want the brush wet. If you get it too wet, then you'll make giant thin droplets. If it's too dry, then you might have thick gobs, so it's all a bit of trial and error to see what you like. You can practice on, you know, just regular plain paper and see what kind of spatters you enjoy. So you will find out. And actually, I will do this little assembly line. Well, I've got blue on here. I'm going to do blue for all three. And especially for this flowers where I didn't have a blue sky in there, the spattering gives that nice sense of the blue sky going on there. Alright, so I've done all the blue that I'm of mine to do. Rinse that off. Get my brush nice and clean. I'm going to go on to green. Make sure I don't have any giant globs that are going to come out. Ah, see, I kind of did it anyway. Alright, get some green in there. Well, you're always being careful about blobs. Alright, so I'll just brush that blob into the seam. So we got blue. Oh wait, no, we were working on green, so we got green there. Green there. Alright, green. Rinse off the green. Hey Laura, good to see you. Thank you. Just finishing up. A little yellow. Some yellow for the froggy picture. And yellow for the flowers. Oh, we're going to do like a splash, but I suppose it looks sort of like a flowery splash. So it's not so bad. Alrighty. Always rinse your brushes out when you're done. Store them upright like that so that they can store without getting squished or bent. I just type in my thank you. Alright, so again, to summarize, this was a random 3-color challenge. I drew randomly out of a bin the colors Gamboge, green light, and cerulean blue. So those are the only 3 colors I had to work with. I put those colors down. I was able to mix them to make some other kinds of greens, but mostly all I could make was greens, greens, and more greens out of those colors. So I came up with some sorts of designs that I could create that would work well with greens, yellows, and blues. So the idea is just to let your mind be loose, be creative, be relaxed, have some fun, and learn more about color mixing and how things work together and so on. So let me know if you have any questions. Certainly give this a try yourself. Draw some random colors out of your crayons or colored pencils or whatever you work with and see what you can do with them. And I'd love to see the results that you create. Have a wonderful afternoon and enjoy your creativity. So next up on this Saturday morning, we have Laura O. Senadella doing Facebook Live. So go onto Facebook Live and look for Laura O. Senadella, or I will put a link on the Blackstone Valley Art Association page so that you can find it easily. So I will type that in the chat as well. Next up for this afternoon, we have fantastic artist Laura O. Senadella making live from her studio on her Facebook page. I'll post a link. Be sure to watch. She is amazing. Alright, everybody, let me know if you have any questions. I am happy to help. We all support each other. Just let your mind go and have fun. The key to it is to have fun, relax, and the more you paint, the more you'll develop your own style and head in a direction that makes you happy. So have a great afternoon.